Just gotta step out of this. Oh. Just an important game for different reasons. Trust yourself, Morgan. Giant game tonight at Papa Murphy's Park. Welcome to the ESPN3 United Soccer League Game of the Week, presented by UC Davis Health. Sacramento Republic trying to turn their season towards the playoffs against the #1 seed at the moment, Real Monarchs of Salt Lake City. Hello and welcome alongside former Hokie Morgan Conklin, Mike Watts. And both these teams really do need these points, but for different reasons. Real Monarchs nearly caught at the top of the West. Sacramento, they're nearly caught at the bottom of the table within that playoff picture.
Well, like you said, Real Monarchs aren't exactly playing their best soccer right now. They're still at first place in the West, still in a great position, but they're wanting to get back to their style of play, their successful soccer. And Sacramento in the playoff picture for now, but they're still wanting to bump up.
Let's talk about that playoff picture right now. Just narrowly above the red line, Sacramento, and yet they feel like they're in decent shape, up 5 points over Orange County.
And they are. Just 1 point. They can bump up to 6 with a win, just 1 point behind the 6th place team right now, so obviously they could bump up with a win. And then if you look at Real Monarchs, they were able to separate themselves from the rest of the conference really early in this season. They were able to still maintain, but they're still pushing, trying to find that momentum going to the postseason.
Let's meet some players to watch tonight. Chandler Hoffman, we know he can score goals.
4th in the league, 4th in the Golden Boot race right now with 14 goals. He's already tied his career high, which was 14 goals from last year. Such a solid player, but one of his best attributes is his movement, especially around box. He's able to pop off defenders, find little spaces where he can find the ball, and then he can finish or create.
He's part of tonight's player matchup, sponsored by Consolidated Communications. And the numbers that we show you here are different because Augie Casares is a very different player than Chandler Hoffman.
But they're both key players for their team. But like you said, Casares, totally different player. Last year only played about 900 minutes for this Sacramento team. This year he's already over 2,000, obviously, with more games to play. 2 goals, 3 assists on the year. Paul Buckle just said he's so important to this midfield. He can come up big and score when they need it, but he's really the engine that keeps him going.
Casares, part of the title team in 2014 for Sacramento. Mindsets can change rapidly, so a win over the top team could be a game changer for Sacramento. Real Monarchs can pull 5 points clear for the title. Action on the way next on E3.
There's a place that brings together teams of world-class problem solvers. Here, they save lives at a moment's notice, restore sight to those who otherwise would not see, empower those facing immobility to live active lives. Through teamwork and bold innovation, they confront the toughest medical challenges to make the world a healthier place. UC Davis Health System.
each drive a Ford pickup, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you a next generation pickup.
Awesome. Let's do this.
The bed is made of high-strength steel, which is less susceptible to punctures than aluminum.
The stronger, the better.
And best of all, this new truck is actually
Oh, my.
the current Chevy Silverado.
Current Chevy owners and lessees get a total value of $10,600 or 0% financing for 72 months on this Silverado All-Star. See your greater Sacramento area Chevy dealers.
Papa Murphy's Law of the F word. No, this F word. Here's the deal. If it comes from a freezer, not fresh. Box, not fresh. Bag, not fresh. Fresh means just chopped vegetables. Cheese grated by us every day. Fresh means we don't even have ovens, because you have an oven. So you can feel good about feeding it to your bingo. Tonight, home bake a large gourmet delight Tuscan chicken and sausage with fresh spinach, Roma tomatoes, olive oil, and garlic on a crispy, thin crust. Just $10. Papa Murphy's.
Come on. Come on, Squirt.
Whatever your financial goals are, a U.S. Bank Wealth Management Advisor can help make them a reality. Talk to one today. U.S. Bank, the power of possible.
Many of these fans were here 3 years ago when they supported Sacramento to a title. It's an anniversary tonight, an important matchup brought to you by UC Davis Health on ESPN3. Mike Watts, Morgan Conklin with you. Tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by U.S. Bank. Here's what Real Monarchs send out. 3 changes from their last game, a 0-0 draw with Orange County.
They keep the same back four. There's a goalkeeper change, though. Andrew Putna is in for Cano Sparrow in the net, but keep an eye on those front four. So talented. The movement, like I spoke about in the open, is going to be key, and I love watching Sebastian Velasquez underneath them just creating opportunities.
Meanwhile, for the home side, presented by U.S. Bank, the starting 11 for Sacramento Republic.
My eyes are on Trevin Caesar. I love seeing him back in the starting lineup, a player who does so well when he has freedom. He's a player who uses his pace. He's going to look to get in behind, can play well with Ochoa, who likes to do more of collecting with his feet, and then he'll have Caesar in behind. I love seeing him back up there.
And Evan Newton gets the calling goal over Dominic Jockebek. Well, this is 11,569 strong, as they say. A fantastic home supporting crowd, as always, in Sacramento. Joseph Dickerson is the referee today. And for Sacramento, Paul Buckle has said, we usually speak to a coach for 15, 20 minutes leading into a game like this. I asked, how about the bumps in the road? Tell me about those. He goes, oh, we're going to need more than the time we budgeted for this call to talk about that.
It's so great talking with him and picking his brain, because early in the season, he was saying how he's a coach that really coaches to his players' strengths, and he might have an idea of what this team needs to do, but obviously when his players come in and really gel together, it may lead to something different, which that happened early in the season, but then they had a whole different evolution just because of the injuries they had to deal with. And obviously the look that you see with this Sacramento Republic team tonight is so different from earlier in the season.
Great crowd, great moment. The anniversary of their title in 2014. Joseph Dickerson blows the whistle. Here we go. Number 7 against number 1. It's a massive game in the Western Conference playoff picture. Sacramento and Real Monarchs. Let's take a look at tonight's Chevy keys to the match, Morgan.
Both need to start strong. For Sacramento, they're a team who's been struggling right off the bat, and Real Monarchs, they're a team that they focus early on. Their warm-ups, when we spoke with Mark Briggs, he said their warm-up is so intense, and he does that on purpose to make sure that they start really strong right off the bat, and they're a team that can take advantage of Sacramento if they aren't ready right away.
Jeremy Hall had his jersey tugged, and, well, it's a better start for Sacramento than they've had in a couple of their recent home matches. Looks like they'll escape the first minute without conceding. Peter McGlynn set to take this, 28-year-old from Ireland. McGlynn driving this towards the net. It hung up there, pulled down by Andrew Putna. And a look at tonight's UC Davis Health Injury Report. Follow UC Davis Health for the latest news, events, photos, and health tips for your family. Find them on Twitter at UC Davis Children and on Instagram at UC Davis Health. He shot out with that foot sprain. Barrera remains out after left foot surgery. Partain is out for the foreseeable future, and Adam Moffitt has been out for quite a while. They really do miss some of these players, and it's what made it so difficult this year for Paul Buckle to just get a consistent lineup. Trevin Caesar giving this a touch. Putna came out. Putna is going to be guilty of a foul here just outside the penalty area. And Putna is going to go into the book for a yellow card. Trevin Caesar still down.
For a team like Real Monarchs, who likes to come out ready, who like to come out focused, that's not exactly the best start for them. A ball played in behind. I mentioned in the open, Trevin Caesar is so pacey. He will work to get to that ball, and he just gets there first. Putna is beat to the ball. He has to go out with his feet. Obviously, a goalkeeper isn't as comfortable tackling with their feet, but the speed of Caesar, he gets the first touch and obviously is dragged down.
For Putna, it is a McDonald's yellow card. And now the wait begins to see what Sacramento can do with this free kick. Trevin Caesar walking gingerly away from this. It's James Kiffey, the left back, lining up for Sacramento. See Bijev lining up at the top of the six. Kiffey toward the back post. Christian screaming for a handball. It won't come. It's knocked out of play in the end. Mark Briggs, Real Monarchs, had his arms out because he thought that was a throw for Salt Lake City.
Sacramento bringing the start that they wanted. They knew they're in front of their home crowd. They had to come out firing, trying to get past that loss against Oklahoma City when they were scored on early. Didn't have the best performance. This is a good start for them.
Caesar stepped that back to McGlynn, and it belongs to Salt Lake City here.
I think Real Monarchs got a little lucky with that call. I mean, the way P put his arm out and Pay put his arm out, used it to get him in a different position.
Pay in trouble again. This time Trevin Caesar ran him over. Well, Taylor Pay's had quite a busy opening 4+ minutes. Charlie Adams trying to go long. It's Chandler Hoffman, but there's Evan Newton.
When we spoke with both coaches earlier this week, they both said the same exact thing, that they thought it was going to be an open game and they wanted it to be an open game. And I think we have definitely seen that within the first 5 minutes, that there's going to be space in behind. The midfield is going to be a battle, and that most 50-50 balls are going to be contested.
Sebastian Velasquez will catch up to that, and it's a clever drop back for the white-clad Salt Lake City side. Back to Putna, who was the 5th of 10 goalkeepers taken in the 2017 Super Draft. Ochoa racing up there. Orozco. And Pay drops off. Putna out of Lamont, Illinois, taken in the 3rd round. Playing Nick Beasler. They try and unlock Max Lakowecki, but couldn't quite.
That was a beautiful look. You talk about players being able to hit a ball and pinging it into the corner. That's exactly what Beasler did. Just had a little bit too much on it. Lakowecki wasn't able to get a touch, but what a look. Just to pick his head up and see that space open.
And it goes back to what we heard from Mark Briggs this week. He said, we're going to try and get at this Sacramento team that at times we've seen teams play us really deep, but if it's going to be an open game, maybe they can get it over the top and For Sacramento, Paul Buckle said, we know that they're very dangerous on the counter and on long balls.
That's one thing that I noticed was I think both coaches knew exactly what to expect coming into this game based on what we were told where each team would try to attack. I think both coaches were ready defensively. They've obviously done their research. They've obviously watched a bunch of games. But like I said, both are hoping for an open game because when we spoke with Mark Briggs, he was saying last time they played Sacramento, they sat in when they were at Rio Tinto. And Sacramento cannot afford to do that right now. Still trying to push and get a better position in the playoffs. They have to come out. And he was expecting that they would step a little bit higher and play a little more open.
You'll never see Sacramento take the back seat at Papa Murphy's Park. Their home record outstanding in USL play at home. This giant crowd, a big reason why. Second highest attendance in the league this year. Christian knocks it back. It's Newton. Steered up by Adams. Knotted out by McGlynn. Ochoa. Ochoa sending it long. Caesar cutting back. Lost the handle. He's on it again. Laying it off. Shot is up and over from Augie Casares.
Trevin Caesar frustrated that there was not a handball call then. He was able to get end line, cut his defender, and the ball bounced off his defender's arm. Looked like a handball. I didn't know if the ref was trying to place some advantage at someone. He looked like he put the whistle to his mouth, didn't end up calling it, but that ball from Ochoa, he likes to check off the back line. He's good with his back to goal, and then he was able to ping that ball forward into Caesar. With the high line the Monarchs are playing, Caesar's going to have those opportunities all night.
Christian rose up over, and Hall whips it the other way. This time Caesar was in an offside position, but it plays square to your point. Last time we saw Trevin Caesar in a USL Game of the Week, he absolutely went off. And Caesar did score against Real Salt Lake in the US Open Cup, which featured many of these Real Monarchs players. Long ball threaded through again. Laid back by Hoffman. Adams skips by Hoffman. Looking for options, Lakawecki. Pinging the ball around now. Adams into Newton, and I think arms down low. That's where he was looking for it in the end, Hoffman.
One of the most impressive things about Real Monarchs, their characteristics, they play so well in tight spaces. And I mentioned about Hoffman, how he's able to find space and pop off his defender. But as a team, when they get forward and around the 18, they have numbers, they have movement, and they work for each other. And there's options. It's not that one player is trying to go forward to the one striker. There's options, and it's difficult to defend when that happens.
Christian and Mare going after it. Juan Mare entering the equation for Salt Lake City over the course of the past 3 weeks. Blackwood. Scooped that too far. Not even Trevin Caesar can catch up to that. 10 minutes in, scoreless. Salt Lake City, beneficiary of a loss by Louisville in the East tonight. They could have jumped on top for the regular season trophy chase, but instead trail by 2 points along with Reno, meaning they can extend to a 5-point advantage. Monarchs team that had the USL's longest ever win streak earlier this year.
Think about all the records that have been broken in the league this year.
Last week, Reno with the single-season offensive record. This Monarchs team, it's been really phenomenal. The attendance record, of course.
Exactly.
Well, this is well done by Lakawecki. Velasquez played it through. That's launched out by Emra Clementa. You get the feeling the way the USL is trending, records are meant to be broken.
It's just been incredible. And
another through ball. Hoffman. Well, he's looking for a second goal in his last 11.
I just think in terms of the league, it's just going to keep happening that way with the teams that are joining. You see the excitement amongst the fans, just amongst the league as a whole. There's so much buzz about it, and I think when that happens, it just creates an environment for good soccer, for records to be broken, because it's just that buzz about it.
Last year, New York Red Bulls too, the wins, the points, the offensive goal scoring records. And this year, a lot of that under threat again. Adams and Hall went pushing into each other. Hall who's guilty, so Lakawecki will take over. Out of Notre Dame, 25. Native of Illinois will now cede way. Elio Orozco. Mare off the flag. It's a goal kick. Evan Newton, 2014 in Arizona, 15 with OKC Energy, leading them to a top 4 finish in the USL West. Had 5 shutouts last year in his first season with Sacramento, splitting time with now 37-year-old Dominic Jokabek. She's done again this year. Foul against Mare. That's unsanitary.
He has to have another.
I doubt that.
I thought refs were supposed to carry 2.
I'm not carrying around a second whistle. I'm not carrying around any unnecessary baggage if I'm running the meters he's running tonight.
The whistle's not that heavy. Come on.
Death by 1,000 whistles. It's Trevin Caesar. Casares. Well, not bad from James Kiffey. Well, that's a fairly obvious whistle. Velasquez still arguing along with Beasler.
Beasler in the right place, timed his tackle well. If he doesn't turn his body, if he goes straight up, that's a fine tackle. It's clean. But the way that he turns his body, shows his shoulder, it makes that impact even harder, and that's why that was called.
It's Villian Bijev, who came over from Portland, scored 7 goals there, and Bijev, who moved to Fresno at the age of 5 from Bulgaria. A little bit closer to home now in Sacramento on loan. Already scored a couple of goals. This time it was Clementa the target. Goal kick in the end for Real Monarchs.
I think one thing I like the most about this matchup, these two teams, is obviously the game is going to be fast-paced. Both teams getting at the opposing, but I said how I don't think any 50-50 ball is going to go untested. No opportunity, no good opportunity is going to go untested from either side.
Hall tried to unlock perhaps McGlynn. Well, it's a good run now for the Monarchs that McGlynn broke up for Adams. It's Kiffey, who had an assist in that 2014 USL Cup title winning game. Ochoa. Chris Christian out of Villanova.
Beautiful touch, just a little turn, a flick behind the leg. Augie Cazares showing a little something.
Trying to go through the legs was Blackwood. He wasn't quite up to Casares' level with that effort. Perhaps Lakawecki was just more up to the task.
We've seen Blackwood do some special stuff on the sideline, so I'm sure that won't be the only time he tries something.
No, definitely not a deterrent. The former Arizona United man. Lofted for McGlynn, but left a bit short. Velasquez, who's got a decorated Major League Soccer career in his rearview mirror and perhaps in his horizon. Hall tried to step in. There's Charlie Adams. Touch through Mare. Christian took it away and starts it back up for the Republic. Caesar reversing through by Bijev, almost played in. Ty Blackwood. The Argentine, they had the overlapping run. If he goes to work on Cruz, another recent addition. He's got 137 appearances in MLS. Well, you can see what makes both of these teams so dynamic and so strong on the offensive end, and through 18 minutes, it's been a pretty free-flowing open game.
One thing I've been not surprised by at all, but I'm always kind of catches me off guard every time when Real Monarchs gets forward, how high Lakawecki gets. They want him in the attack from the outside back position. He's way over his half once the center backs get the ball, and he really pushes into the final third because he provides that width, which opens up more space centrally for those four main attackers. But they aren't stagnant. No, they're not playing directly straight in lines. They're interchanging at all times. You see Velasquez drop way into the midfield at times to pick up the ball, and it's so hard to mark that because it's constant communication trying to figure out where the players are going.
Trying to hold up play. Hoffman did. Hoffman tried to lace it through Famare. Corner on the way. Hoffman felt he probably should have had an assist there.
And he was just able to slip in behind. The ball just pops over Christian. He didn't exactly time it the best. Looks for the split ball. Tried to meg there, but Mare was wide open. He found the space. He beat his defender, but Hoffman just wasn't able to slot it through.
There's Chandler Hoffman, 14 goals on the year, in the top 5 in the Golden Boot race, but 4 back of Dane Kelly and Reno. Corner on the way. Could he be the target? There is the service, punched out by Newton. Ball played down by Velasquez. The breakout is on. Blackwood, flanked by Ochoa and Caesar. Let that get a bit too far, and Cruz hits it the other way. So Real Monarchs into the attack. Newton got enough, knocks it free. Sent it out toward midfield. Well, we knew Blackwood would try something else. He did. And now Ochoa. Caesar. Trevin Caesar cutting back. Attack still on. Dropped off. Bijev. Now Hall. Service cleared by Pay.
Sacramento not able to take advantage of a counter where Trevin Caesar was in behind. He was through, but his first touch was taken away from goal. Not a lot, but just a little bit, and his momentum kept him going to the right of the goal. He wasn't able to go directly down the middle, which obviously would have given him the best angle if he tried to shoot. So he had to pull it back and tried to recycle, but at that time, Real Monarchs are able just to get back and reset defensively.
Hall for Sacramento. Mare. Well, this is a good turn. Hoffman, Mare. Into the Tower Bridge Battalion it goes.
Chandler Hoffman does something so small that allowed him space in behind Christian. When that ball was played back for Mare, he didn't split Christian and the other center back. He played it to the outside of Christian, so he had to do a spin to keep up with Hoffman. So the way he brought his run wide just a little bit to create space in front of him rather than splitting the center backs forced Christian to kind of try to figure out where the ball was going, because normally you assume that ball's going to be split.
If you haven't seen Chandler Hoffman play yet, his history with LA Galaxy 2, with Louisville City, now with Real Monarchs, he's a guy who I think deserves another look with Major League Soccer down the line. Native of Birmingham, Alabama. Blackwood. Caesar. Well, he held on to that. Well, won't this time. Foul by Charlie Adams.
Blackwood does a really nice job of dribbling and committing defenders. So when he plays it through, he tries to find Caesar in space. Real Monarchs do a nice job of sliding over and containing him, but he's able to draw the foul.
That's McGlynn. Caesar trying to hold up play. Did find Casares. Ochoa overcooked that ball for McGlynn. Real Monarchs, the early favorite. McGlynn, player who's now playing just his third start of the year, fourth appearance. Monarchs now 4 matches winless at perhaps the worst time, but as good as their offense has been, allowing just 29 goals, it's second in the conference, only to San Antonio. McGlynn, Blackwood, bouncing through, nobody home. Moberg skipped off of Bijev. No whistle there. Kiffy took it forward on his own. Ochoa didn't catch up. Now lofted ball cutting over the top of Christian. It's Hoffman again. Velasquez up the right-hand wing. Cruz lifting. Newton jumped up there and snatched it.
Evan Newton has been really solid for Sacramento tonight because they're just putting pressure on him. They're able to find the ball wide. It comes back central, and then it creates space wide to go once again. Cruz plays a really nice ball in. Newton's under pressure, but he does a good job of going up. He's strong. He's been challenged on a couple corners as well, and he's done a really good job just controlling his box.
Into space. Blackwood couldn't nod that ahead to himself. Mare dispossessed. Ochoa tried to flick on for Caesar. Velasquez. Beasler. Checking back Mare. Moberg. Orozco. Probing right now, Real Monarchs. Adams scoops that forward. Hoffman Hoffman spinning still, contact, and no whistle against Clementa.
We spoke with Paul Buckle for Sacramento and asked him, what do you have to do when Real Monarchs get close to goal? Hoffman, a player who finds space, tries to separate himself, and he said we have to get numbers around the ball. Our 1v1 defending has to be a 7 or 8 out of 10. And we really just have to make it difficult. They did a nice job just swarming Hoffman once he had the ball. He tried to get something out of that, but Sacramento did a really nice job of just coming together and squeezing the space to not allow Hoffman in behind.
Hoffman is dangerous a goal scorer as there is in the league this year. Hall. Down goes Bijev. Dangerous spot for a free kick.
Moberg is beat at this time once the ball comes through by Bijev. He even gets a little push beforehand before it even gets to Moberg. Tries to get in behind, and I would call that a professional foul. I don't think it needs to be that hard if it's going to be one, because Bijev was obviously off to the races and in behind, but I think that's definitely the correct call.
Moberg, who is a draft pick of Vancouver. Tower Bridge Battalion, as always, coming out clad in Sacramento attire of all kinds. Service on the way. Ochoa sought to get out in front.
On a ball like that, a player of Ochoa's size, he has to get near post and has to get in front of that ball. It's not going to get in behind Putna. There's no way that's going through his hands. So if Ochoa can find that space and separate himself from his defender, he has to get in front of the ball.
McGlynn serves it away. Look at that, 47 all the way forward. That's Lakawecki, the left back, who's at the top of the 18 pressuring the defense.
That's what I said. The spacing of these defenders, especially the wide defenders, is crazy, especially up the left side when Lakawecki gets forward. He really does become an extra midfielder and at times an extra forward, how high he gets forward. But they do a nice job of it because it's not like Real Monarchs are sending one player forward and they're stuck with 3 behind. They do a really nice job in the midfield, Beasler, Adams, of dropping in and balancing if Lakawecki or if another player gets high out of position.
We spoke about that importance of finding balance with these coaches towards the end of the season. Lakawecki, the move here, rolling it ahead. If you're going to play your fullbacks legitimately 30 yards over the halfway line, you need to find some way to balance it all out. Mare is going to go for it himself. Newton yank that down.
That's a difficult shot, the way Mara is spinning. He's off balance when he hits this. Does a really nice job of getting on top of it and still gets a good strike on frame. But he almost had to jump and turn while he was trying to stay on top of it.
Not a bad effort, all things considered.
Very acrobatic.
Yeah. A lot of praise for Juan Mare. He's played with Puebla and Atlas and Morelia. Never on the first team in Mexico. There's Lakawecki. The defender bombs it ahead. There's Christian. Service that early seemed to be really on point. Fallen a bit short. Last couple of tries up that right side. Velasquez turned that over. 32nd minute in Northern California. Sacramento move into 6th with a win tonight. They're 5 points clear in playoff position of Orange County. Ochoa back to Bijev. Casares, who has the best chance so far for Sacramento. Well, Caesar lost his footing, but kept it for Casares. Flag is up against McGlynn, or is it? No.
There is no way McGlynn should be onside. The way he was that high in that play, I'm not sure who on Real Monarchs kept him on, but you could see after the fact the center backs talking, trying to get everyone on the same page, trying to get them higher, because McGlynn was so far forward. And that's a play that, when it goes to him, it takes a lot to regroup and transition and slide over, because you're not expecting the ball to play there because you think he's standing off sides.
Velasquez threw a Holloway there.
And he was onside. It was actually Taylor Pay kept him. He had a player in front of him. He was watching Ochoa. If he can be a little closer to Ochoa, he doesn't need to be touched tight at that point, but he's keeping that line deeper.
Kind of great replay we've come to expect from Jonathan Tellicher and our team in Sacramento. McGlynn chested back. Ochoa unable to play it. Mare couldn't keep it for Real Monarchs. Promising here, Ochoa. McGlynn. Hall. Sacramento Republic FC host their final home match of the year. Papa Murphy's Park, the site when they take on Didier Drogba and Phoenix Rising. Kickoff at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific. Tickets start $20. Available at SacramentoRepublicFC.com. SacRepublicFC.com. Embracing my inner Rob McAllister here tonight. Mike Watts with Morgan Conklin. Thanks for taking part. Number 7, number 1, both playoff teams at the present moment, and Sacramento could increase their hold on a playoff position with a win tonight, while Salt Lake City can move one step closer to a regular season championship that really ultimately came out of absolutely nowhere this year. Cruz. Mare. Big step by Clemente. Moberg. Beasler. Slip ball through. Mare tried to redirect it. Well, we talked about how wide open the game was early. It has certainly slowed down over the last 5-10 minutes.
And I'm not surprised to see that, especially late in the first half. I think both teams have settled in a little bit. I don't expect to see this much in the second half, but obviously both teams, if they can go on counters, they're both looking to do that.
It's Pay, parried away by Newton. How about a center back getting forward and lacing a shot in? Adams. Made a contact, Cruz kept it. Sebastian Velasquez gets it from Beasler. Flicked onward. Mare. Didn't get nearly enough. Kick save and a beauty there from Newton.
That slip ball from Hoffman is dangerous, the way that Mare's running in behind. But his first touch, once again, like I said with Caesar early in this game, went away from the goal. So if you take your first touch away from the goal, the reason why that makes it more difficult is because your angle of what you see of the goal is smaller. So it's a harder shot. But also, when you take yourself away, the goalkeeper can really move and make that angle even smaller as well. It allows him to get in an easier spot to make the save. And also, if you have a defender on you, he can take an angle as well and really close it. So by taking your first touch away, you make it harder on yourself in 3 different aspects.
Crossfield pass by Bijev. Sacramento trying to open up Real Monarchs in the 38th. A lofted stretch ball ahead. For Sacramento and Real Monarchs fans at home, you can follow live stats and more via Twitter through the club's Twitter handles @SacRepublicFC, @Real Monarchs, or hashtag SACVSLC. Knock back towards Lakawecki. Bijev took a tumble. It's McGlynn carrying ahead. McGlynn trotting, taking defenders along with him. Blackwood slipped in. Blackwood earns a corner.
I am so impressed from McGlynn drawing 3 defenders and still slipping Blackwood through, because originally he dribbled towards the corner, which is totally fine, but he pulled Blackwood into that same space. But this last opportunity for Real Monarchs, Pei was slipped in behind. He had a really good look on frame, and it all started with Chandler Hoffman getting at the back line and slipping a little ball through.
Chick-fil-A corner to Sacramento. Service lined across toward Christian. Followed up by Blackwood. He did not hit that right. That's a throw.
That is one of the worst feelings. When you can see the ball hitting the back of the net, you have enough time just to hit it first time. You can't bring it down. You just have to strike it. You've done it before, and then it goes out for a throw-in. Doesn't feel good.
You know that feeling? You done that before.
Potentially.
Yeah.
A time or 2. More so in practice, because you know when I was in the game, I was doing other stuff.
Other stuff. You were never as high up the field as Max Lakawecki gets.
Actually, I would try. I think that was my favorite part of being an outside back, was getting forward.
Coach Chugger at Virginia Tech is swinging his head in disapproval right now, I'm sure. Blackwood sending it further. Well, McGlynn commits that foul. McGlynn with Longford Town in the Irish Premier League last year. Coming over to the USL and dealing with a knee injury that's hobbled him for much of the year. Though the setback Ochoa stepping in on Adams, and now Bijev. Caesar holding up play and making his turn. Caesar met by Cruz. Caesar toward the byline. Kiffy. McGlynn, Ochoa, Blackwood takes that widening service. McGlynn touching inside. McGlynn going all the way to the byline. Earns a corner. Individual effort outstanding off of Putna.
When able to get forward, Blackwood initially comes wide, and that opens the space more central for McGlynn. He works really hard to get to that ball initially, but also to keep going. Even once he has to go in for a tackle with Putna, he keeps going and is able to create a corner for his team, because if he stopped, Real Monarchs are able to keep that. If Putna just comes out, he can pick it up easily.
Well done for the UC Santa Barbara player. Chick-fil-A corner for Sacramento. Headed, it's up over. That took a deflection on the way. It's another corner to Sacramento. In the end, it was Mare who almost deflected that into his own net.
The numbers that Sacramento has in there, it's just clustered, and it's difficult to clear it. The pressure that they're putting on the Monarchs at this point, they're able to get forward. If they can get one before half, that would be a huge game changer, not just being one up, but it's almost a shock at that point to Real Monarchs this late in the game.
It was actually Pay that hit that. Well lined in, another Chick-fil-A corner. Lined up, a couple of players up there. It's Caesar, Christian. Oh, won by Beasler. Ochoa, Blackwood. 6 white jerseys behind the ball. Caesar. Blackwood, Clementa. Kiffy met by Cruz. Ochoa back, a bit more room for Kiffy this time around. Brought down well by Caesar, reversing. Dispossessed by Lakowecki, and now trying to turn the corner. Let that out.
Caesar unable to hold on to the ball there, but before all of that, initially, Emmer Clementa won the ball right around midfield with a massive header to allow Sacramento to continue to build off that opportunity. But one thing I love is the play from the outside backs of Sacramento, Kiffy, McGlynn, because it's not just wide play. It's that at times, but they're not afraid to dribble central and create closer to goal, more in the middle of the field. It gives such a different option, because if they go central, it still allows for the wide play to develop.
Alex Delangel is the 4th official, and 1 minute of Gilmore Services stoppage time. When you need a dependable Sacramento area HVAC company, trust Gilmore Heating and Air. How's that for a happy-looking Penguin? Blackwood. Clementa back to Newton. Well, if you're Sacramento, you did not concede in the opening minute at home. That's a positive, but on the whole, even though there were some openings for Real Monarchs, you have to feel like they started better than they have, and that's what Paul Buckle was looking for.
Absolutely. It's not just, obviously not conceding is a huge part of that, but the way that they came out and initiated their style of play and really got after Real Monarchs, I think that speaks volumes as well. More than, or besides just the scoreboard. I mean, they put pressure on Real Monarchs and made it difficult. I think this game was pretty even. I would say Real Monarchs had the better of the chances with the numbers that they got forward, but Sacramento knew Real Monarchs would be dangerous on the counter, but Sacramento has been extremely dangerous when they can get the ball on the counter and go forward. They've been able to send numbers, so this game has been very even in my eyes, and I think it's been a good one so far.
And the score line to back it up at halftime. Sacramento and Real Monarchs are even through 45 minutes. Couple good opportunities for both, but nobody can cash in. When we come back, a look at the regular season title race and the Golden Boot race back in Sacramento after this.
We've raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
Halftime in Sacramento. Republic and Monarchs are even through 45. Plenty of opportunities had. Many more to come. Back with Morgan Conklin, Mike Watts. How about we size up the Golden Boot race in the United Soccer League right now? Herzog may not have enough time to catch up, but when you look, Chandler Hoffman does. Dane Kelly, though, out in front by 2 over Enzo in the East.
I mean, the biggest thing that I look at and I think is so impressive, Chandler Hoffman, 14 goals on 46 shots. That's half that, just about half that of Dane Kelly, who leads the league, 93 shots. But also had 7 assists, and then extremely impressive Romario Williams, 15 goals in 20 games. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from any of these players. It's all extremely impressive, but when you break it down, it just makes it that much more impressive for some of them.
Williams off the Gold Cup with Jamaica, reaching the final against the United States. Hoffman, 7 assists. Would have a tiebreaker if he starts to make a comeback. Meanwhile, the USL regular season championship race, they're trying to crown one. Louisville City gave up a golden chance against Toronto FC2 on the road this evening, falling one goal to nil. So Reno and Louisville City are 2 points back. Real Monarchs are going to extend it to 5 tonight with a win.
And a win would be so huge for them, obviously, to extend it. And I think if it comes down to a game, a result, I think Louisville is definitely going to be extremely frustrated with the way that their game ended up tonight against Toronto. Not exactly what they wanted for that, but Reno leading, setting records, leading the league in total offense. I mean, they've been incredible.
8 wins in their last 10. That's what's turned this whole race on its head. Halftime here. We'll take a look around the first half when we return to Sacramento on E3.
How long till halftime? I need
5 minutes.
So, boys, any ideas for a good used car?
Yeah, buy new.
New?
Does used have the technology or the reliability?
That new car smell. Ooh, check that out.
It's NorCal Honda Dealers' new Hondas for All sales event.
The irony.
With deals like this on brand new Hondas, why buy used?
Well, you do make some good points, but...
Let me make it easy. Used or new?
New Hondas for All at your NorCal Honda dealer today.
Papa Murphy's Law of the F word. No, this F word. Here's the deal. If it comes from a freezer, not fresh. Box, not fresh. Bag, not fresh. Fresh means just chopped vegetables. Cheese grated by us every day. Fresh means we don't even have ovens, because you have an oven. So you can feel good about feeding it to your bingo. Tonight, home bake a large gourmet delight Tuscan chicken and sausage with fresh spinach, Roma tomatoes, olive oil, and garlic on a crispy, thin crust. Just $10. Papa Murphy's.
Here we are, our eyes wide open. We see the road ahead. We're part of something bigger. We're the dreamers, the heroes, the ones who change our communities, build our cities, are passionate about compassion. There are more like you here than unlike you. So take hold and see yourself in the present. See that vision unfold among others. Redefine the possible. Redefine you.
Energy connects us to our communities, to each other. As your community-owned electric service, SMUD is committed to clean energy and technology that's good for the environment. That's why we're championing electric vehicles. We're providing a rebate and discounted charging rate when you purchase or lease a new plug-in electric vehicle. Let's connect energy, transportation, and our community. Learn more at smud.org/drive-electric.
We've raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
The race for the USL Golden Boot is one to watch entering the final weeks of the USL regular season. The USL's all-time leading scorer, Dane Kelly, leads the league's top offense in Reno 1868 FC. Kelly's 18 goals on the year are chasing Matt Fondy's USL single-season scoring record of 22, set back in 2015, as Kelly pursues the first Golden Boot of his career. Enzo Martinez is second in the race with 16, but hasn't tallied a goal since week 24. Martinez and the Charlotte Independents enter week 28 having clinched a spot in the playoffs, but looking to hold on to the number 2 seed. The Charleston Battery's Romario Williams has only played in 20 games this season, yet has scored 15 goals. June's Player of the Month is looking to get back into scoring form. The Jamaican international has been held scoreless since August 12th. Real Monarchs SLC's Chandler Hoffman has already matched his single-season high of 14 goals and has done it with the fewest shots of any player in Golden Boot contention. Hoffman's 46 shots are about half that of Dane Kelly, who leads the league with 93 shots. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds' Corey Herzog has played the most minutes of the players in the running and is coming off his third 2-goal performance on the year. Herzog's brace against Bethlehem Steel FC brought his season total to 13, the same number he had in the 2016 regular season. With 3 weeks to go, the contenders will look to end on a high note as the race nears the finish line. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
As a country, club, and league, we've all witnessed the devastation that's taken place in Texas, Florida, Mexico, and Puerto Rico. At Papa Murphy's Park, Sacramento are 11,569 strong at each of their matches, which is why Republic FC is matching all donations by fans to the American Red Cross up to $11,569. Fans are asked to visit redcross.org/SacRepublic to make their donation. Again, for every dollar donated, Republic FC will match up to $11,569. Learn more about this and also how to support the efforts of Red Rover, a crisis support charity for animals, at SacRepublicFC.com. More from the second half when we return. Halftime at Papa Murphy's Park. Sacramento and Real Monarchs scoreless as Real seeks out the #1 seed in the West. Sacramento looks to solidify playoff position. Back with you for our ESPN3 Game of the Week presented by UC Davis Health. That's Morgan Conklin, Mike Watts alongside. First half, it was open at times, then it closed down. It's 0-0 at the half. That a fair assessment?
Absolutely. Definitely open at the beginning. I think what was impressive, though, is throughout the whole entire half, counterattacks were on for both sides. They weren't afraid to go for them, especially once the back lines on both sides got a little bit higher. Sacramento tried to get in behind. With this one, Blackwood has touched just a little bit too much because he was off to the races, and that led to a Monarchs counterattack going the other way. Coming out, doing a great job was Newton, getting off of his line to make that tackle.
These highlights brought to you by Northern California Honda dealers. Newton out there dealing the pain, and now Beasler getting it forward for Real Monarchs. We saw good things in this opening half from a couple of newcomers, including Juan Mare.
He did a really nice job of trying to settle that ball. It was a difficult one. It was bouncing, tried his best to control it. Didn't have the cleanest touch, but still had a really good look on frame with all he was dealing with.
Then we see Real Monarchs racing up again. Another shot handled by Newton. In this first half, he had to make 2 or 3 pretty good saves.
And a really nice job getting forward. Pay, from the center back position, was able to find his way right and get a look on frame.
McGlynn, this is a great individual effort. It ended in a corner.
Another defender, McGlynn, getting forward. He and Blackwood are able to play in that little space. A nice little fake allows him to find the ball more central, and he stays with it, which allowed Sacramento to earn a corner rather than just losing possession.
Well done by Putna on the ensuing corner, nearly knocked into his own net.
Chris Christian does a really nice job going up for that ball. Taylor Pay, a deflection off him. If he didn't hit that, I think that would have been a goal.
Ready for the second half of play. In white, Real Monarchs. Sacramento, the 3-year anniversary of their win over the Harrisburg City Islanders. 2014 USL Cup final. Joseph Dickerson says, play on. Second half underway. It's Moberg, and now Sebastian Velasquez. Monarchs 4 winless now. Last year won 10 games all year. They're at 17 wins this year, making a handful of enormous additions to their roster over the offseason. Christian headed that first. Well, this is clever to Cruz. Clementa tapped it out. Corner on the way for Real Monarchs.
That's one thing. It's always nice to see, but I'm never surprised to see the footwork and just the technical ability of these players, especially from Real Monarchs. So tricky on the ball. They're able to find the space, which allows them to play through into that movement. It's the same thing I've been saying all game. It's why they're so dangerous.
Service lined in, handled well by Blackwood. Another chance for Charlie Adams. Adams cutting in still. Played back by Pay. Adams, another deflection. This time Clementa. Clementa steering his defense. Velasquez. Adams once more out in front, knocked down. Follow-up is in off of Newton. It's Juan Morey scoring his first USL goal.
Sacramento had 9 players, plus their goalkeeper, 10 players in the box, and were unable to clear. They got a touch on 2 or 3 of these, but weren't able to clear it far enough. Morey is just waiting to clean up. A great job by Adams to find some space, finds Morey, and then he's just there for the follow-up once again.
Goal number 1 in the USL for Juan Ignacio Morey. 47th minute for the Argentine.
One of the keys coming into this game was starting off strong. Sacramento was able to do that in the first half, but the second half they were not able to respond, did not come out of the locker room in the way that they stepped onto the field in the first half. The focus wasn't there. They weren't able to clear that ball. They had a couple chances and weren't able to get it out.
And even the Republic Twitter account making note of the fact they got out of that first minute without conceding a foul and hand shaking as Bijev remains down. It's one of the happier fouls I've seen in some time.
I don't know if it was happy on both sides, maybe just one.
They're both patting each other on the head. Usually you see a little more push and shove than that. But Real Monarchs conceding 2 minutes out of the locker room. Rather scoring on Sacramento. Adams. Caesar. Lakawecki. Played this all the way through. Chipped in! 2 goals in 4 minutes time. Chandler Hoffman has scored his 15th. A new career high. And the Monarchs running away from Sacramento out of the first half break.
Time and time again, Chandler Hoffman finds the space. He splits the center back in Chris Christian. There's no space there, but he finds it. He gets in behind, and he's just able to get a touch before Newton comes out to win that ball.
Hoffman, 49th minute. And the 2014 MLS Cup champion with the Galaxy scores for the 2014 USL Cup champion, Sacramento Republic.
You've heard me talk about his movement probably way too many times this broadcast, but that's why I talk about it. He is marked by James Kiffey and Chris Christian. There's not a lot of space there, but he's able to time his run.
Service across toward Ochoa. And Moberg is down, rolling around in pain. A yellow card shown to Ochoa.
Blackwood sends a beautiful ball all the way across. Ochoa just runs through Moberg. Rather than doing that, just step in front of him. Ochoa's in the right place. He's just caught on the backside. If he can just take a little cut and get in front of him, he's in a great position to finish that with the head. The way Blackwood played it all the way across, but he's caught behind Moberg, and then he has nothing else to do but foul.
Ochoa picking up the McDonald's yellow card. And another little push to Moberg. It's that score line again. 2-0, 2-0. Real Monarchs that we saw in the first meeting between the two sides this year at Rio Tinto. 9th meeting all time. Real Monarchs 3 wins through the previous 8. And the trio of draws as well, but off to a strong start in this second half, scoring twice in 4 minutes.
When we spoke with Paul Buckle, he was saying that in Sacramento's stretch and even their last game against Oklahoma City, he didn't want to show his team film to punish them. He didn't want to focus just on the parts where they struggled, but he said that in their games, when they weren't tight enough, when they made mistakes, they were punished for them. They did a great job in the first half, not making very many mistakes, and if they did, they weren't in the back where they were vulnerable. But what led to that first goal were mistakes, and multiple mistakes of not clearing the ball enough. And when that happens so early in a half, it really is, it's like a knock to the teeth. It takes you a moment to regroup, and by the time they regrouped, another one had already found its way into the back of the net. So that's why mistakes happen, but being your mind turned on and ready and aware is so important, especially at the start, not just of a game, but each half.
Real Monarchs team so very proud of how they can really come out punching in games. Christian, how will Sacramento respond? Looking for Ochoa. Casares. Sweeping to the right, ball for Hall, taken by Hoffman. Velasquez fouled by Bijev. I think the story we heard from Mark Briggs, because they haven't won in their last 4, every team peaks and valleys. They have the ultimate peak, 9 straight wins, and they valley over these last 4 games. But the same can be said for Sacramento, which has had a very up and down season. And yet, you get the feeling that they feel like one win could change the entire mentality of the team at this stage of the year.
Well, both coaches agreed, and I think any coach you speak to across the board is that those moments happen throughout the season, and maybe it's just 1 or 2 games or just a really bad performance, and maybe it lasts a little bit longer, but every team goes through those highs of playing really well and then the lows of not playing their best. But for Sacramento and Real Monarchs, they both just have to get back on track, and the way to do that is being confident, and to be confident is putting in a good solid performance. And Paul Buckle, when he spoke about Sacramento, he said they're just trying to get back to basics. And that's what builds confidence, is doing the basic things well.
Mark Briggs tossing his water bottle away. Clementa short-armed it. Hoffman. Mare, the two goal scorers. Too far for Velasquez. Ochoa couldn't hold up play. Real Monarchs looking every bit of the superpower that they've proven to be over the course of this season. Christian. Pay pointing. It does earn the throw for the Monarchs. If you think about this, Sacramento, obviously an independent franchise and one of the very proud franchises in the USL. You look at Real Monarchs, team that is in year number 3. Last year, a lot younger. This year, they made an intense focus on bringing in more experience. Caesar. Bijev. McGlynn. Overlapping. Blackwood couldn't feed him. But you look at the changes they made. Beasler in from Portland. Calvo is new from Costa Rica in the last couple of weeks. Daniel Haber over from Whitecaps 2. Juan Mare, Sebastian Velasquez, Taylor Pay, Danny Cruz, Chandler Hoffman. You go right down the list. They accented what they already had with all these pros and USL veterans. And they feel like winning is the best way to continue to improve their franchise top to bottom. As Kiffy lines across in! Ochoa, almost.
That was one of the first times tonight that I've seen Ochoa really attack the ball in the box and work hard to get there first. He did a really nice job of finding the separation, tried the flick header, but that's when Sammy Ochoa is at his best, when he's in the box, when he attacks the ball, rather than assuming he's going to be beat to it and stay behind. If he can get to it, he puts pressure on these Monarchs defenders and forces them to work harder. But he had the front edge, he had the step, and did a really nice job there.
Bijev again, met again by Pay. Hall, Caesar, spins it wide, reverse to McGlynn. Better spell of possession. Clementa, that's a dangerous player to concede possession there. Hoffman. It's Velasquez. Velasquez looked to send it through the legs of Christian. Set up for Hoffman. Hoffman pushing still, ultimately fouled Christian.
Christian, a fantastic job of dropping and getting back defensively and getting his body in between Hoffman and the ball. Hoffman's first touch was in behind, but when he got back, his run was at a diagonal, so he was able to get in between the ball and Hoffman to not allow him a clear path.
Through ball from Bijev is rejected. Mare, Velasquez, Cruz. Beasler, 5th overall pick to Portland a couple of years ago in the Super Draft. Beasler collecting again. Of course, his brother, U.S. national teamer, sporting Kansas City, both out of Notre Dame. Play is still continuing. Beasler's going to adjust his socks from the seat of his pants. He'll continue on. Newton launches upfield. The Sacramento team desperate right now to find an answer. It's a Sacramento team that comes off that disheartening 3-1 loss to OKC, and Paul Buckle said, we don't need to sweep what happened over the weekend under the rug. We need to hit the reset button to an extent, try and recover. I hope they won't need to hit the reset button twice in as many games.
And resetting from that game and having a good performance tonight is obviously important to get back on track, but especially because their next game, quick turnaround once again Saturday, last home game, facing Phoenix, a team that's been on a hot streak as of late. And then going to Orange County, then Colorado Springs, finishing the season at Reno, one of the top teams in the West that plays so well at home.
McGlynn got that through, steered aside by Orozco. And Phoenix leading tonight 1-0 on Sean Wright Phillips' goal. So they're looking for 11 consecutive unbeaten.
I mean, that being said, this game had to be a reset in Sacramento getting back to being confident and playing well, because there's not much time to reset. And if you have to keep resetting, as Paul Buckle said, each game, it's going to be a long, short end of the season.
Finishing on the road, games in altitude, not easy. And Orange County is the team that's chasing them. They could theoretically really drive a giant wedge between them and Orange County in the standings. They're to pick up 3 points at Orange County during that road swing and perhaps make the remainder of the season in those games in altitude to an extent academic. But this is a Sacramento fan base that's expecting big things this year. They have a good roster. Can't help but wonder where they'd be right now with all the players that are injured. Danny Barrera, obviously a major piece for them. Wilson Neshaw dealing with an injury. Adam Moffitt is sort of the guy that settles everybody down. Those are giant losses.
And that was one thing that Paul Buckle spoke about in terms of just this year. It has been a challenge having to regroup and change systems. He said after some of those injuries, he thought they were playing at their best when they had a 4-4-2 diamond with the diamond in the middle. Blackwood playing attacking mid. Now he's back out to the wing. He thought they were so well with Blackwood up top, Hall at that holding mid, and then Cazares and Barrera playing next to each other. Well, that's not an option now. So it's about adjusting to that and making the necessary changes, which he did, but that has consistently had to happen with Sacramento this year. And it's always difficult to find a rhythm when you're dealing with injuries and formation changes, but that's just part of the game. You want to complain about it. You want to say, we could have done this, we could have done that, but at the end of the day, that's part of soccer.
Trevin Caesar shoved off the ball. He does really well to keep this, though. Caesar forgot it. There's Cruz. And a foul there by Caesar. He scored 7 times this year, scored 10 times last year for Orange County, 9 times the year prior to that.
He's so good when he gets the ball into space. He was strong, won a tackle, but like you said, kept going and just forgot the ball. Wasn't able to keep going forward because then he had to work hard. But what I love from Caesar is the intensity you see when he goes forward. When he loses the ball and tracks back, you see the same exact thing. And I think that says a lot about a player who has the opportunity and goes forward, but when they lose it and can still get it back, they put in that same work to hopefully get it back.
Here's McGlynn. Well, it's another good move by Blackwood, cut out by Beasler. Lakawecki will collect, calmly send it up the line. And Eddie Ralph is does the game notes for this Sacramento team and puts in a listing of starts by position. In those central midfield positions, it feels like he's running out of space to type names. That's the point they've sort of gotten to. And Paul Buckle, really, we asked him about it. It's not something he sort of brought up as an excuse, but where's Barrera? Where's Nishaw? What's the health of those key players for you guys? And you get the feeling that last year was a lot easier. They had a style to fall back on in some light surf, but this year, big waves for them to try and navigate.
But I think something he said that really stuck out was that during all of this, he just said it's about trusting your players and reminding them that the coaching staff, that he believes in them. And that through everything going on, he said it's just about making sure the players know that you believe in them. And even during these resetting processes, he said that's just reminding the players certain things, the coaching staff. He said at this point in the season, these players know the expectations. They know their roles on the team. But every now and then, it just takes a little reminder. And I thought that spoke a lot about him, that this late in the season, with where they're at, in a good place, but maybe not exactly where they saw themselves, it's just about little reminders.
Adams will take the restart. If you are a Sacramento season ticket holder, reminder, renew those seats for the 2018 season by October 10th. As this ball lined across, Hoffman! Not quite.
If Hoffman can take that ball back from where it came from and go to that far post, that's in the back of the net. That's what you want. When the ball comes across and it's a header, you want to go back where it came from to find that far post, because the goalkeeper has to move with the ball, and then it forces him to go back across his goal to try to make the save. Hoffman decided to go near post, and at that point, it just skimmed off his head.
If you do get those new season tickets by October 10th, the 10-10 deadline to renew. Also get a chance to get Tier 1 priority at the new stadium in the works, the Sacramento Republic. You can opt in for playoff tickets should they become available. Learn more, renew online, sacrepublicfc.com. Call 916-307-6100. Of course, Real Monarchs, they're going to be hosting. That's no doubt. Rio Tinto be home to playoff soccer, not just at this level, at the MLS level. I don't think anybody saw that coming, but Mike Pecky, who started the year as the head coach, Real Monarchs, is leading Salt Lake City into playoff position right now. Velasquez had to go, took a hop. It's a goal kick in the end. Freddie Juarez led the team last year. He was promoted to the first team of staff. Mike Pecky was brought in, the former New York Red Bulls coach, with no intention really of becoming a Real Salt Lake coach in the near term. A few games into the season, Salt Lake City decided to make the move at the Real Salt Lake level. It was Pecky who went up. All of a sudden, Mark Briggs is the new head coach for Real Monarchs. and the relationship between the two really didn't start till January. It's really been a rather pleasant one. The two get along quite well. Mark Briggs told us today they really hit it off rather quickly, and they've created a formidable team, leading Real Monarchs at the USL level and Real Salt Lake at the MLS level. You do get the feeling that there are some teams that just have such a good unified image for how they want to play between MLS and USL, as this will deflect and end up in a goal kick. And look at Toronto and what Jason Bent has done. They get an upset against Louisville City tonight. Portland, Andrew Greger. Sacramento making a change. Substitution brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Matt Wiesenfarth will come on. Luis Espino will come on. Well, that's offense. Ochoa. Good combination play here. Espino wants it again. Will circle around. Wiesenfarth was looking to continue on.
There's nothing like players coming in, especially later in the game, and making an impact right away. You see Espino, Wiesenfarth working to get around the ball, creating together. It was pulled back because of a foul, which is fine. A great opportunity for Sacramento, but I love seeing players come in right off the bat, work to get the ball, and try to make an impact.
Both bursting onto the scene. 72nd minute, 2 goals within 5 minutes of halftime. Mare and Hoffman in the 47th and 49th respectively. Free kick to Sacramento toward Christian. Well, Christian's going to be guilty here. Well, looks like they'll allow all to play on. A corner coming for Sacramento.
I don't know how that did not get called. Taylor Pay is clotheslined by Chris Christian, going up for the ball, pulled down, dragged down.
Did Sacramento take advantage on this Chick-fil-A corner? Kiffey. Punch got out there, still loose. Christian took an effort. Now the breakout is on. Real Monarchs. Cruz across the halfway line with Casares following him. Welcome to the SE, not top 10. They still do that on Fridays, or? Thanks for being a part of our ESPN3 Game of the Week, where the co-branding is prevalent. We're in the 73rd minute here. Big collision. Velasquez tried to turn away from it. Sub on the way. Well, there is Cruz down still. And he got back up and continued on. We're in the 74th minute now. Juan Mare scoring first back in the 47th minute as we take a look at our game recap.
Just does a really nice job of staying in the play, finds space in behind Charlie Adams, a beautiful slip ball to that far post. Murray with a nice finish, but Chandler Hoffman, the little bit of movement that he's able to get by Lakawecki, a nice ball played in. He just splits Kiffey and Christian. He finds the inches of space in behind that allows that ball to go through by Loecki, and a nice finish.
Just the second goal in 10 games for Hoffman.
75th minute, leaving the match, number 2, Peter McGlynn.
Peter McGlynn is out.
He's replaced by number 26, Elliot Horde.
Elliot Horde will come on, subbing for a second consecutive game. A substitution brought to you by Jiffy Lube.
Also a substitution for the Real Monarchs in the 75th minute. Leaving the match, number 61.
Danny Cruz will come off.
Daniel Cruz. Plays about 45, Andrew Brody.
Trying to turn the corner. That's Elliot Horde making his first impact. Push from behind, Wiesenfarth. Kiffy. All the way out. Belongs to Andrew Putnam, who made his first start as a pro all the way back on March 26th against Portland. It's largely been Connor Sparrow and Lalo Fernandez's team. Referee, a helping forearm. Wiesenfarth continuing on. This is his fourth appearance with the side. Ball driven in. Hearing from the sideline, Danny Cruz is being checked by the trainers for an apparent knee injury. Updates as we receive them here tonight. Kiffy, net from behind, and a foul going against Andrew Brody. Sacramento looking to find start to a comeback here. Kiffy overcooked. Wiesenfarth was the target. Service bouncing in, Wiesenfarth giving chase. Collision in the box. Play on.
I was hoping that no call would kind of light a bit of a fire under Sacramento. They're doing a great job moving the ball and getting forward, but it's not very dangerous. I understand the substitutions being made, but I think taking out both Blackwood and McGlynn, they had really good chemistry up that right side together. They were able to create, they did a good job of interchanging. One would be central, one would be a little wider, and they'd build up really well together. But obviously those substitutions bring in different personalities, so you're not going to see that exact style of play. But I think by taking out both of them, you lose a little bit up that right side for Sacramento.
Brought on Horde, the outside back position. Clementa. Now you can see Espino came on at the right wing. Tack into the area, the layoff comes right to Velasquez. Kiffy off of Brody. Kiffy. Christian saved off the line by Ochoa. Beasler was behind him anyways, but still 2-0. Good effort by Christian.
Great effort by Christian. I love the way he attacks that ball. It looked like Ochoa was trying to actually get out of the way. I just don't think he reacted quick enough, so it looked like he blocked it. I mean, he did block it, but it looked like he probably tried to block it. I just don't think he moved fast enough, but I love the effort from Christian. He's really good in the box, uses his body well. And the fact that he connected on that one, I think that is a momentum builder, especially towards the end of this game. Sacramento is going to keep pushing forward. They're going to have more chances.
Chandler Hoffman on his way off in a Jiffy Lube substitution. What a goal he provided.
I mean, beautiful. Great ball played in from Lakawecki. Found that little space. Hoffman, just composure. The ball's bouncing. He knows the goalkeeper's coming out, and he has to pop it over. Newton does just a great job with that.
And Kyle Karinga comes on, a defender by trade who trialed it right mid before the season, Tampa Bay, among others.
We talk about Sacramento trying to get back on track. After they've had their initial loss, they've never won to make it 2 wins in 3 games. They've always lost once again. So they're trying to get back on track, and that's been a tough spot for them this season. And that's not the momentum that they want to build going into the postseason. Especially, like I said, second to last game at home. They have to start pressing higher, put more effort into this final couple of minutes, because there's still time to get back in this game.
And if you look at how good the top 4 right now are in the Western Conference, it's very difficult to imagine a route for them into that top 4. They're going to have to go on the road. Really, their playoff run is essentially going to start here a game or 2 early in terms of the way they're going to need to focus against Reno, against Orange County, even against Colorado Springs, may find themselves on the outside looking in by that point.
And that's the tough spot about once you're in a position to make it to the postseason, obviously you're not there yet. The postseason hasn't arrived, so you still have to keep getting better, keep trying to.
Ochoa, Wiesenfarth came over, and Putnam will hold on to this.
But in terms of the playoffs, you have to keep trying to make your position better. And there's a couple teams that have been in, but just aren't exactly entering the playoffs once we get there on a high note. And obviously, everyone knows when you enter the postseason, you want to be playing maybe not your best soccer, but you want to have really good momentum because that will carry you through.
Phoenix has taken a 2-0 lead. Jason Johnson. That in the second half, so Sean Wright Phillips has scored as well. Phoenix one step closer toward clinching a playoff berth. The West has become a lot more clear, a lot earlier than the East. What a run Phoenix is on. It's right up there with what we saw earlier in the season from Charlotte, from this Monarchs team, from even Orlando City B in terms of lengthy winning or unbeaten streaks.
Something that's been, I think, so impressive about Phoenix is obviously you hear all the big names that are on their team, and tonight, the win, Drogba's not in the lineup. He hadn't been, and they were on a roll. I mean, you look at Omar Bravo hasn't been in the lineup. You look at the team, and I think early in the season, that was the big conversation for great reason. It should be. And it still should be a conversation piece, but just look at what they've done in the run that they've been on.
Ochoa touching it through. Opportunity is wide for Sacramento. Wiesenfarth looking for his first goal.
Sacramento taking a page from the Monarchs book, getting numbers forward and creating that movement. Wiesenfarth is able to come across, but he also has Bijev creating. Ochoa's in there. The numbers make it difficult to defend, and Sacramento's able to get those numbers around the ball and get a pretty good look on frame.
Wiesenfarth will chase after this. Goes ramming over the top of Orozco. We'll make a substitution here. Skylar Milne, 7th appearance. Substitution brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Goal scorer Juan Ignacio Mare on his way out in the 87th minute. Mare's goal back in the 47th.
When we spoke with Mark Briggs this week, he said adding Mare brought an element that this team didn't have, and that he's really good in the run of play and the build-up, but on this goal, he was a pure striker, getting his body around frame, ready for the rebound, positioned exactly where he needed to be, and was able to make a clean finish.
Bouncing ball, Orozco meeting up with Wiesenfarth. Wiesenfarth keeping it still. Wiesenfarth. Goal kick. Thing about what's coming forward for Real Monarchs is Orozco remains down. At Reno on Saturday. That will not be a battle for first place because Real Monarchs will have it going in, but it could well be a situation where they essentially put the Western Conference out of Reno's reach. They've won 8 and drawn once in the last 10. Takes a kind bounce. Brody. Off of Wiesenfarth. Corner on the way.
Wiesenfarth working really hard on both sides of the ball. You saw him on the other end, working, going 1v1. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get a corner, and then working all the way back, defending into his own defensive corner, working really hard. And I like that. A sub coming in late in the game, you obviously want them to make an impact. He did so on both sides of the ball.
Milne was working hard down in that corner. Wiesenfarth stepping by. High energy from Mark Briggs. Why not? It's been a Cinderella run for Al Monarchs. Service into the box. And a penalty conceded to Ochoa. Sacramento will have a chance to get one back right at the start of stoppage time.
Ochoa has been working for that all night. He uses his body really well. He's a big player, just backs up, tries to find his space, and is just held. He can't get to the ball. He's held. He does all that he can and does a nice job selling it as well to show that he cannot get to the ball because he is being held in the back by Karinga. He also stepped up. You could see him say he wanted the PK. He wanted to take this. He worked hard for it, and now he's able to get the chance.
5 goals on the year. Sammy Ochoa's first season in Sacramento. If he finds one, in Sacramento, try and make it too late. Can Putna earn a shutout? Sammy Ochoa. Saved by Putna. Putna mobbed by his teammates. There's a corner on the way. And that is the embodiment of the story for the Republic tonight.
Fantastic save from Putna. He guessed the right way. He knew exactly where Ochoa was going. Ochoa hit it well. Found the corner, was going that way, but Putna just did a nice job reading exactly where it was going to go.
The fourth official indicated 3 minutes of Gilmore Services stoppage time, and you need a dependable Sacramento HVAC company. Trust Gilmore Heating and Air. Milne, Velasquez, who's dealt with some injuries of his own, the 26-year-old. Casares off of Milne. Well, when you look at this after, Paul Buckle felt like if you really hammer your players over the little things you did wrong and ignore the things that you did right, that could really lead to some negative consequence. I think a similar outcome could come of tonight. 2 disastrous mistakes overcome what was otherwise a game where they played Real Monarchs for much of the evening fairly evenly.
And on the second goal, I don't think I can call that a disastrous mistake. I think that was a really nicely placed ball from Lakawecki.
Fair.
That split players. I mean, if you ask them to be any closer, they're almost holding hands.
Right.
The ball really just threaded right through them. So that one, it's never okay to swallow a goal and take it, but that's when you just have to say that was a great ball played through, and Chandler Hoffman beat us. That's just what happened. But the first one, absolutely. There were multiple chances that they had to clear it, and it just didn't happen.
It's a good night for Andrew Putna, 2-time Horizon goalkeeper of the year at UIC, a starter from the outset there. Spent much of this season on the bench, on the road in Sacramento. He's done enough. Move Real Monarchs one step closer, regular season title. If they were to win it, they'd be the second consecutive MLS-affiliated team after New York Red Bulls, too, dominated their way to the title last year, both in the regular season and in the USL Cup playoffs. Wiesenfarth is offside. Full time. Real Monarchs on the road to Sacramento. A 2-0 winner. 5 points clear atop the USL table. And a rather dominant performance in totality, with Putna coming up with a big shutout.
A massive shutout, because if Ochoa finishes that PK, a couple minutes left, 4 to 5 minutes, and this game could be totally different. Real Monarchs came out of half. The first half was very even, very well played on both sides, but the second half, Real Monarchs came out and just completely turned this game around. The beginning was important for both sides. Real Monarchs had it starting the second. Sacramento just wasn't there.
It's telling just how proud this Monarchs team is of Andrew Putna. Mare's first goal with the club. Hoffman's 15th of the year. 2-0 Real Monarchs. We'll wrap it up when we return on ESPN3.
There's a place that brings together teams of world-class problem solvers. Here, they save lives at a moment's notice. Restore sight to those who otherwise would not see. Empower those facing immobility to live active lives. Through teamwork and bold innovation, they confront the toughest medical challenges to make the world a healthier place. UC Davis Health System.
If you like hot dogs but hamburgers too, Wiener Schnitzel's new burgers are just for you. We've got burgers, 4 different burgers.
We kind of always had them, but they're way better now.
New burgers, our new burgers, our new flavors, our new burgers are made the Wiener Schnitzel way. That means they're good. Wiener Schnitzel's burgers are better than ever. Whether you're craving barbecue bacon or blazing guac, our 4 burgers are a mouthful of yum. Only at Wiener Schnitzel.
Penultimate home game for Sacramento at Papa Murphy's Park. This is not the result they're looking for. For Andrew Putna and Real Monarchs, it is exactly what they needed on the road. It finishes tonight, our game of the week, 2-0. Back with Morgan Conklin, Mike Watson. Morgan, thoughts on this game, one in which Real Monarchs move 5 points clear of the USL table?
Coming in, one of the keys was that both sides needed strong starts. In different reasons. Sacramento was looking to not concede early on. They did that. It was great in the first half, but the second half is when it got to them. They weren't able to stay strong. Goals in the 47th, 49th minute, but early on, they did a good job of really just containing the pressure that Real Monarchs were putting on them. A nice ball through, played all the way across from Taylor Pay. Center back getting forward, but they had chances as well in the second half towards the end. Chris Christian gets up for this header. If it doesn't hit Taylor Pay, that ball is going to the back of the net.
Moving forward, Real Monarchs would begin to find good opportunities in the opening minutes of this second half, and it's put in by Mare.
47th minute, just unable to clear it. Sacramento isn't able to get it outside of their 18. It doesn't get much further than that. Real Monarchs keep the pressure on. They're able to get through a beautiful ball from Adams that finds its way all the way to Murray, and he's able to finish.
Second start, first goal. Opportunities galore continue. This will come all the way out to Trevin Caesar in his attempt to clear. One ball forward, 2 hops. Hoffman from Lakawecki in the 49th.
And the reason Hoffman is able to get free is because he takes a couple steps backwards to open up that space, and then he dashes in behind. That ball from Lakawecki is just threaded right through the defense into his path.
Goal number 15 of the year for Chandler Hoffman. It's a career high. He scored 29 goals in the last 2 seasons. And then a penalty the first minute stoppage time. So Sammy Ochoa is going to go to the line. Andrew Putna says no.
And he was frustrated before this. You could see he was working for that foul, really playing it off, showing how he was being held. He wanted the PK. A great save from Putna, didn't get it to fall. Sacramento has to find the confidence once again. They have a quick turnaround. They cannot let the end of this game, and especially the end with that PK not going, they can't let that continue on into the next game.
Highlights were brought to you by the Northern California Honda dealers, and here's your Life Storage standings. Real Monarchs 5 points clear. If they beat Reno, you can conceivably put this away, although Swope could have a chance at them down the stretch, and San Antonio as well. Phoenix a win tonight, so things are bunching up a bit here.
I mean, it really is. It's becoming more of a race, not just to make the playoffs, but towards the top couple spots for home field advantage. And I think that's what makes this so interesting.
And Sacramento still in playoff position, but it's tight. Next home game for Sacramento is their last this year. Phoenix on Saturday, coming off a 3-0 win. Real Monarchs at Reno. It could settle the Western Conference #1 overall seed. Make the rest of the year academic. Papa Murphy's Park. Fans of all ages did not quite get they were looking for. Phoenix and Tulsa, our next ESPN3 game of the week. Putna, the shutout. Mare and Hoffman, the goals. For Sharni Yerke, Eddie Suarez, Jonathan Tellicher, and Morgan Conklin. Mike Watts saying so long from Papa Murphy's Park. Monarchs a winner. It finishes 2-0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.